Hello, Sam here with our schedule for the next month. Next episode we'll be looking at Star Wars 2015 Volume 1, Skywalker Strikes, written by Jason Aaron, as well as Darth Vader 2015 Volume 1, Vader, written by Kieran Gillen. Then, the following episode, we'll be looking at the 2016 novel, Ahsoka, by E.K. Johnston. Enjoy the show.
A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away.
Bum bum ba ba da 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 dun dun. Bum bum ba da 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 dun 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 dun.
All beings begin their lives with hopes and aspirations. Among these aspirations is the desire that there will be a straight path to these goals. It is seldom so, perhaps never. Sometimes the turns are of one's own volition, as one's thoughts and goals change over time, but more often the turns are mandated by outside forces. It was so with me. The memory is vivid, unsullied by age. The 5 admirals rising from their chairs as I am escorted into the chamber. The decision of the ascendancy has been made, and they are here to deliver it. None of them is happy with the decision. I can read it in their faces, but they are officers and servants of my people, and they will carry out their orders. Protocol alone demands that. The word is as I expected it. Exile. The planet has already been chosen. The aristocra will assemble the equipment necessary to ensure that solitude will not quickly become death by predators of the elements. I am led away. Once again my path is turned. Where will it lead? I cannot say.
Hello and welcome to Crashing the Sherfighter, the Star Wars Book Club podcast, which today is feeling blue. I am Sam and I've read the Thrawn book and comic.
And I'm Emily and I've done none of these things. Dabba-dee dabba-da.
So yes, today we are looking at the 2017 novel by Timothy Zahn, Thrawn, and also its 2018 comic adaptation, because it is the only canon novel so far to have received a comic adaptation. But Emily, before we get too far into this, end of last episode, I asked you a question. What
I'm looking
race
forward to this one.
is Grand Admiral from?
Grand Admiral Thrawn is a chiss.
Correct.
I know it. I know it's because we went to a meetup of Chiss cosplayers when we went to Star Wars Celebration.
Oh my gosh, we did. And with a
There
sexy
were so
Thrawn
many
body
blue
pillow.
guys. There
See,
was. It was unfurled.
At Star Wars Celebration, we spoke about characters from this quite a bit, so I'm going to be interested to see how much of that you retained.
Okay, interesting. Don't rely on me to be very good at retaining stuff. We'll see.
There's
We'll
definitely
see how much
something
I
me
get.
and someone else discussed very loudly, which, well, someone who comes up in this book.
Okay, well, I look forward to it.
So the Chiss are in the unknown regions, which is the space outside of the known galaxy. The Chiss are a main powerhouse. They're this race of aliens with blue skin and piercing glowing red eyes. And Thrawn, who was introduced in the 1991 book Heir to the Empire, is probably the most famous one of these creatures.
Yeah, I'd agree. I mean, he's the only one that I know, I think, so.
Well,
Hey.
maybe soon we'll meet some more.
Oh, I might know two, but I can't remember their name.
So the novel was released on the 11th of April 2017. It's written by Timothy Zahn, who is Thrawn's creator, and it was his first canon book. He's since done 5 more so far. And the comic was released between February 14th and July 11th, 2018. It was adapted by Jodie Hauser, who has done a lot of Star Wars comics, most adaptations, but she has also done a few. She's done some Age of Republic books, and she also recently wrote an arc in the Yoda comic, and the art is by Luke Ross and Nolan Woodard.
Oh, we'll have to see it.
The last thing to mention is this book takes place between 15 BBY and 2 BBY. I know when we did Lost Stars, I was kind of keeping track of dates. I haven't done that this time because it's a lot more jazzy. But that'll be fine. And now I'm going to cut to my spoiler-free review. At the risk of sounding like Emily, I want to get straight in here and say I do like this book. Out of all the novels I've read for this show so far, it's my favourite, and it's the canon book I've visited the most. The reason I'm saying this now is because when I get onto the narrative, I'm going to say some things which may make you think it's not that good, but I do really enjoy it. This is the origin story of Grand Admiral Thrawn. It shows him rising through the ranks and jumps along the timeline in a way similar to Lost Stars if you were with us for that episode. This makes the narrative a bit disjointed, a bit all over the place, and overall I'd say this story lacks a real compelling villain. That said, the characters we do have, the main three of Thrawn, Eli Vanto, and Governor Price, are all amazing characters. I love the chemistry they have together, I love the interplay. Honestly, Price is the star of the show for me. Thrawn's out there playing with toy ships, Price is playing Game of Thrones. Every time she's in it, I'm hooked. As the story develops, there are a few conflicts which seem to serve little purpose. I do feel like there are some scenes that you could cut out, or find a way to tie in a more meaningful way. Other things I really enjoy. Seeing Thrawn work for the Empire, how he interplays with characters we know like Wolf Yularen, Grand Moff Tarkin, and the Emperor himself is a lot of fun. Moving on to the comic for a second, it's an interesting side piece, and I do say side piece in a way that I think it's a companion to the book, not a replacement to. It has stunning art, and acts as kind of the greatest hits of the novel. Some of the interactions I said were a bit more pointless in the book, not in the comic. The price you pay is you lose the internal monologue. Thrawn's a character who's always thinking. Also, the way we've had to shorten some of the conversations, they lose some nuance, and you lose a bit of the fun there. Would you have a good time just reading the comic on its own? I'd say so, yes. But out of the two, I definitely think the novel is the preferred reading method. With that all said, back to the main show. So we start this novel on an unknown planet in the unknown regions.
Good start.
Where a Venator-class Star Destroyer Strikefast has arrived following the UA protocols, unknown alien protocols. It was returning Imperial cadets to a planet, Myanmar, when it got caught chasing smugglers and ended up here, where Colonel Mosh Barris found a shack and some supplies on the ground with an unknown script on the side. He called down the ship's captain, Voss Park, as well as Cadet Eli Vanto, and Eli kind of doesn't know why he's there, but on the side of the supplies is Boglan's script, which the translator droids cannot read. Eli is a cadet from the edges of wild space, so he's kind of from this area. They think he may be able to read the script, and sure enough, it's a trading language known as Cybisti. Park and Eli continue to look at the supplies, while Barris goes off to investigate where a V-Wing starfighter recently crashed. He comes up with a flight suit filled with twigs and berries, which Eli identifies as a scarecrow, or the Coruscant Imperial's like, what is this weird custom? And Eli's like, well you see, we use them to scare off birds.
You don't have birds where you're from?
Why, yeehaw! Barris also noted that the V-Wing survival kit, which includes a blaster, some spare power packs, and 3 grenades, was taken. He orders more troops down, while Park returns to the ship. They set up a perimeter around the camp, and they start by the time the perimeter set up, and some troops go into the forest but find nothing. So some tech start unpacking the scarecrow, and Eli notices this weird smell. And then some explosions go off in the camp, bringing all the troops into action. One goes off, then another, and whoever it was has 3 grenades, so Eli's waiting for a 3rd explosion, which never happens.
Mm.
The perimeter was reset up as the tech decided that the explosions were too weak to be the grenades, and assumed they were power packs, which the alien could have thrown into the perimeter maybe, but the fact that the alien could rig the power packs into explosives suggests that it has some kind of intelligence.
Some kind of intelligence.
Eli also works out the alien's most likely humanoid based on the camp. And while he's thinking about this, he notices some small animals running past his feet. In the distance, another V-Wing, which was out patrolling, goes down. When the troops arrive, the pilot is still there, but his blaster packs and grenades taken. Back at base, Barris orders both flight suits to be searched and finds the first one is missing its comm. So they decide that the alien was listening in, and they cut off that frequency. Eli then, looking in the crates, finds some coins, which were minted to the start of the Clone Wars, which suggests the castaway beam about long, because in the Outer Rim, when a shipment closes, they put a coin in freshly minted, so that they can kind of track where the deliveries are going.
That's a while. They've been there a while, right? That's quite a long time.
Clone Wars was like 3 years, and this is 17 BBY, so probably about 3 years.
Okay, that's not that bad.
I could be completely wrong, but yeah, I don't think it's as bad as it sounds.
Have faith in yourself. I trust you. You know things.
Over the next night, Eli continues to investigate the camp, while Barris's men start taking casualties. 3 were taken down by concussion grenades, and 2 were shot by their own nervous men. And the next morning, 2 squadrons of troops are brought down to the planet. In the novel, these are stormtroopers, but in the comics, they're clone troopers. I think clone troopers are more time relevant. I'm not doing a reconnaissance here because it doesn't really matter.
That's fair.
The next day, all the comm channels are hit by a high-pitched screech, which is the final straw, and Barris orders everyone to pull out. And he decides that we'll move the camp to a strike fast and continue the investigation there. It's only when they're ready to pull out they discover a trooper is missing, one of the storm or clones. Barris orders that all the tech and command level people leave and the troopers will follow. On the strike fast, Park was angry that Barris left without order, but after Barris defends himself, Park forgives him. 2 commanders leave, and Park tells Eli to follow them as the troop transport comes and lands. 3 go up to the hangar bay control room, and Park orders the hangar lights to be turned off, and after a couple hours of waiting, an armoured figure comes out of the transport, trying to hide behind things moving across the hangar bay. And Barris believes that this is the individual who was causing all the stress on the planet.
A sneaky little guy.
Barris can't believe it was just one person causing the trouble, and he orders troops to capture the intruder, and taking off the helmet, they find piercing red eyes and blue skin. The intruder was captured with no resistance, and Eli worked out that he was there to translate Sybesti. Since the boxes were written in Sybesti, it's suggestive that the prisoner can speak the language. And seeing this figure, Eli instantly recognizes him as something out of world space horror stories. A chiss.
Are they really like the boogeyman of wild space?
Kind of.
Huh.
There aren't many good stories about them.
Oh.
There are some stories about trading and talking, but most of them are pretty spook.
Oh, they're bad guys. Interesting. They're like the G-man of wild space.
I like the reference, sure. Yeah, they're like the G-men of space.
Okay. It's the first thing that came into my mind that matched up what I was thinking of.
Park asks the prisoner if he can speak basic, and a moment later Eli jumps in asking if he can understand Sybesti. And then he kind of, Eli reprimands himself for jumping in without orders, and Eli explains that in the stories, Sybesti is the language that the Chiss use to communicate with humans.
Hmm.
And the Chiss replied in Sybesti that it's also the language that humans use to talk to them.
Ah.
And Eli realises that the Chiss replied to something he said in basic, showing me he has some understanding. Throughout the conversation, it starts off with Park asking a question in basic and Eli translating the answer. But after a while, Park just cuts out Eli. The Chiss can show how much he knows by speaking in the language. And the communication goes well. Every now and then, the Chiss will look at Eli and ask for a certain word, and Eli can supply it. The Chiss introduces himself as Thrawn Neurodo, but tells the Imperials to call him Thrawn.
It's his government name.
Thrawn Neurodo.
I didn't know. I legit just thought that his name was just Thrawn.
It's like Myth, Raw, Nyodo. And it's like got apostrophes between those 3 bits.
Oh, okay.
He explains that he's
Alright.
exiled. And when they ask why he was exiled, he explains that he broke some of his people's rules, The Chiss don't really believe in preemptive strikes, but Thrawn partook in a few because it was the way to save his people from a threat. He explains how the attack on the camp was done. How the berries and the scarecrow, when it was unpacked, had a smell which attracted animals which the bombs were attached to. How he took down the V-wings using cables. And how he swapped the comm from the first pilot with the comm from the second pilot. So we looked in the suit, they'd realised what the wrong comm was missing and shut down for the wrong frequency. Since Eli's the close we have to a Chiss expert, he's assigned as Thrawn's aide and also a tutor in basic. Eli questions this, assuming they were just going to strand him again, but Park tells him about actually taking him to Coruscant to see the Emperor.
Are they going to regret this?
On the journey, Eli tells Thrawn the stories he heard of the Chiss, and Thrawn finds it most interesting, thinking that stories tell a great deal about what people remember. Eli asks what Thrawn's been able to work out about him, and Thrawn tells him that he doesn't want to be an aide or an interrogator, and instead wishes to return to his chosen track. Eli confirms this, saying that instead of doing shipping logs for his family business, he'll be doing it for the Empire. And that's his dream, to just be on a ship dealing with shipping manifestos.
I can't relate, but I love this for him.
Eli kind of asks why Thrawn wants to hear so much about him when he could be hearing about the higher-ups like Park or even the Emperor. And Thrawn replies that as Eli's his translator, right now, Eli's the person most connected to his immediate survival.
Fair assessment.
At the Imperial Palace in Coruscant, the Emperor thanks Park for his gift, but Thrawn instantly cuts in, saying he's more than a gift. He's a resource, and you'll do well to utilize me.
Ooh.
The Emperor confirms that Thrawn is a resource of unlimited confidence, and asks Thrawn what he has to offer. Thrawn warns of a great threat growing in the unknown regions, which someday may come for the Empire. Thrawn offers military skills to be able to seek and destroy these dangers if given the power. He wants to help the Emperor, in hopes that someday the Emperor will help his people. Even though they exiled him, they're still his people.
Oh, isn't he nice?
Palp asks if, one day, what if Thrawn asks this? And Palp just refuses. And Thrawn says that he would have gambled and lost. But he assures Palp that their goals were aligned. Thrawn also says that Palp has a servant that can speak to his word. And Anakin Skywalker, who when they met, spoke highly of the Chancellor Palpatine.
Ooh. They've met before?
Palpatine is excited that Thrawn is that alien, and tells Thrawn that Skywalker died, but spoke highly of him before that. He asks if Thrawn wants to be his expert on the unknown regions, and Thrawn offers more to be a replacement to Anakin Skywalker with one catch, that his translator stays at his side. Palp sends Park and the Strike First back on the mission, keeping Eli and Thrawn to join Royal Imperial, where Eli will finish his training and Thrawn will take part in an accelerated course. Royal Imperial is where Thane and Sienna went if
Oh, it's that
you want a
academy.
connection. But this is like many years before their time.
Oh, that's interesting.
They're like baddies
Also,
at this point.
poor Eli. Does he get a choice in any of this? Like, this is what he wants. This surely
No.
isn't what he wants, right?
No, he wants spreadsheets.
Yeah, he just wants to like do a course in Excel.
But sadly, he lives on the outskirts of the galaxy and
Oh,
has that wild space accent. And
which basically means that he's from like the Bible Belt.
meanwhile, on the outer rim planet of Lothal,
That one.
Arinda Price works at her family business, Price Mining.
That's where the cats are.
Yep, this is one from Rebels. But
Yeah.
years before Rebels.
Ooh.
So, her family business, Price Mining, has just found a new profitable Dunium vein. We're trying to keep it on the hush-hush, but being a small community, information gets out. And a representative of the planet's governor, Ryder Azadi, comes to offer to buy 21% of the mine in return for some protection. Arinda turns down the offer as it will give the governor a controlling stake of the family business. But days later, Arinda's mum is arrested for embezzling by the governor's office.
Hmm.
Arinda calms her father and then goes to see the planet's senator, Domus Ranking, who agrees to get the charges against her mother dropped on the condition that Arinda signs over the mine to the Empire, which he sees as only a matter of time. Ranking also agrees that since they're kind of crossing the governor right now, and he can be very vindictive, he'll send Arinda's parents to manage a new mine, the planet Batoon.
Batoon.
And he's even got a job safe for him right now.
It's not the Disneyland one. Just so we're all aware.
Nah, not yet.
Not yet.
Arinda points out that Azadi could also come for her, and asks for a job as a senator's aide on Coruscant. And Ranking, thinking about it, agrees and gives her a job in a citizen's assistance office.
Hmm.
Arinda knows that Ranking has her own agenda, but so does she. And one day, she's going to get power of her family mine back.
Hell yeah, you go, girl.
At Royal Imperial, Eli and Thrawn are greeted by Commandant Dean Lark, who hasn't got much faith in Thrawn succeeding. He says that Eli has 3 months left of his course, and that's how long Thrawn's going to have to learn all he needs to. And says that since Thrawn is going to be leaving the academy as a lieutenant, there's no point wasting time, and gives him the lieutenant's plaque. When they get to their dorm, Eli warns Thrawn not to wear the plaque, as it's some kind of weapon. People will have 3 reactions to seeing him in it. Either that he's Dean Lark's pet and will be jealous, that he's a failed lieutenant who's come back for some retraining and will treat him with contempt, or he's a test to see how much they can get away with before being reprimanded.
Mm.
Eli explains that technically there shouldn't be hate towards someone for being an alien, but since there are a lot of aliens who sided with the Separatists in the Clone Wars, it led to a lot of anger towards non-humans.
There's always going to be racism.
He also explains that it's prejudice towards people from outside the Corps, so they're both targets. And while they go for their studies, they face xenophobia non-stop. And while Eli wants to go to Dean Lark, Thrawn talks him out of it, knowing that if they wait long enough, the other cadets will cross the line. After a few days, Thrawn and Eli are invited to play a card game called Highland Challenge by cadets Spank Orbar and Rosita Tarly, who claim it's going to pass time while doing a test. Eli tells Thrawn they're not meant to be in the lab, and if they get caught by gambling, it will be bad news. Thrawn says that he will refuse to gamble, and Eli, seeing that Thrawn wants to go, asks if the Chiss always walk into traps. And Thrawn replies that sometimes it's the best play. In the lab, Orbar and Rosita ask Thrawn about strategies, including traps. They say that, hypothetically, they have a best hand of the game, but Thrawn jumps in right away saying that there is no best hand. He could have exactly the same hand if it was the top hand, but it's more likely they have a weaker hand. Rosita asks, do you know the odds of getting 2 of the winning hand? And Thrawn replies that it's pretty close to getting 1 of the winning hand. Like, once you're going into odds that low, it's not that much difference. And at that moment, he reaches into his pocket and pulls out his lieutenant plaque, putting it on. Just as the door opens, an instructor asks what's going on in here. Thrawn turns to the instructor, showing clearly his lieutenant's plaque, and says that he was just overseeing the cadets doing some training. And the instructor, having no reason to reprimand them, leaves. Thrawn and Eli then get up and leave as well, and on the way out, Thrawn explains how important the timing was. If he pulled out the badge too early, then the 2 cadets could have told the instructor and called off their plan. But if he pulled it out too late, then the instructor could have reprimanded him for incorrect uniform.
God, big brain plays.
Thrawn asks Eli what he's learned, and he replies that it's best to anticipate an enemy and think 1 step ahead. And that's when Thrawn pushes Eli over a hedge.
Whoa, dude!
Eli's confused and he picks himself up off the ground.
That's so mean!
Looking over the hedge to see Thrawn fighting some hooded figures.
Okay, I forgive him.
Eli sits there for a second in the dirt, thinking if Thrawn gets beaten up and kicked out, he'll be back on track. Sadly, that's not the kind of person Eli is. So he gets a handful of dirt, calls to the attackers, and throws it in their eyes.
Giving
Thrawn a chance to steady himself. It stalls long enough for more cadets to come out, and the attackers run away. And Thrawn says to Eli it's now time for him to go to Dean Lark.
I'm going to say something, and you may not like it, but I'm getting big BBC Sherlock vibes from what's going on here.
Thrawn is just Space Sherlock, and I'm glad you picked that up.
He's just Space Sherlock. He literally has a bumbling sidekick who's very, very loyal and will help him out when he gets into a fight. It's the same thing.
There's a bit later on where Eli wants to speak to Thrawn, but Thrawn just tells Eli what he's thinking. I was like, do you have to do it all the time? Thrawn's just it saves so much time in conversations.
Oh no, he is Space Sherlock. Oh, God.
There's a reason why I thought you would come to love Thrawn. And it's not just because we saw that blue body pillow.
No, but that honestly, it's a helpful factor. I will say that. I I think Thrawn and Eli are kind of cute, actually, not gonna lie.
In D. Lark's office, Thrawn and Eli tell the Commandant that they expect Orbar and Tully led the attack, and that comm records should show it. D. Lark tells them that Orbar's family have a lot of say in Coruscant happenings, and Thrawn points out that his friends will probably have similar social levels. D. Lark kind of takes offense to this and assures Thrawn that they won't look the other way. And while Thrawn is happy to hear this, he suggests an alternative action: to send some of the attackers to strike Fast Academy. That's a Imperial Academy esteemed for its fighter training program. Their coordinated attack suggests they'd be great pilots, and if they're sent away without Orbar finding out, it would scare him into line. Dean Lark asks if Thrawn is sure about this, and Bachis assures him, saying that even if he calls a court-martial, he won't testify against the attackers. Dean Lark asks if Bachis usually bypass regulations, and Thrawn says that this is the outcome which works out best for the whole Empire. As they leave the office, Thrawn explains to Eli there is a highly valued picture of a warship on the wall, which would be outside the price range of a Commandant or the Academy. He suggests it was a gift from the rich families. And that's how he knew that the Commandant would not want to piss him off.
He's corrupt.
Thrawn then mentions that all the Chiss comms have emergency buttons. That would be worth Imperial comms having similar. And Eli suggests, hey, if you had a small enough comm, you could put it in your plaque. But no, it would have to be a really short range comm because of how small a plaque is. Also on Coruscant, Owen's making a lot of noise taking landlords to task and kind of feels like she's in a dead-end job. But then Rankin contacts her to offer her control of her own Citizens Assistance Office, which will help all of Coruscant, not just low-fall patrons. He even has a new flat ready for her. She sees us to wait for her to move up the ladder and meet more people. And that's exactly why she was aiming for this specific job for the last few weeks.
She's really girl-bossing it.
And Rankin played right into her plan.
Perhaps a worthy adversary for Thrawn in the making.
At graduation, Eli's parents are obviously uncomfortable on Coruscant. They're worried about Eli's career now being miles off track. He assures me it was a minor diversion, and he's sure that his first command will be doing manifests, what he loves. That's when Eli's dad says, "Darn." It's like, we should go. And Eli turns around to see Thrawn walking towards him.
Ooh.
Eli's mum is interested about the Chiss and tries to learn more. And Eli's like, "Dad, why'd you say darn?" And his dad covers by saying, it's not me being a racist. It's, our beck and call. Our beck and call doesn't work on this planet. So we have to pay for transport back to the landing pad. It sucks, and, we have to get back. So, we're gonna have to leave now, and they hurry away. And Thrawn asks Eli, "What's a beck and call?" Like, goes, it's like this device on planets. You can use it. It's a button you press, and your ship comes to you. But of course, Coruscant, very restricted airspace. You can't do that. And the two of them go to get their results. At graduation, Thrawn is given a new lieutenant's plaque, and is assigned a second weapons officer on the Blood Crow, a Gazanti-class cruiser, under Captain Rick Vergalo. And Eli...
There's this guy in Star Wars that's called Rick. I don't know why that tickled me. He's just Rick.
Eli, now an ensign, can't wait to see where he's assigned. He looks and it says Blood Crow, and he internally goes, "Oh shit."
Oh no.
He's going to be the official personal aide to Lieutenant Thrawn. And lieutenants don't usually get aides, so that's not going to be good.
Oh, who pulled the strings and made that happen? Is this Thrawn's
He asks
doing?
Thrawn if he requested it from the Emperor as some kind of punishment to Eli. And Thrawn says that he's probably stationed with him as the Blood Crow is assigned to the border regions where Sabistia is more prevalent. He offers to decline having an aide, but Eli says he'd have to be an Admiral to make a request like that. Thrawn says that he'll do all in his power to achieve that rank as quickly as possible. And Eli kind of can't tell if he's joking or not.
It's just Chiss humour,
Under Vergalo, Thrawn got away with a lot. Vergalo had taken in stride having an alien on the team and treated him like everyone else. and even raised Thrawn to first weapons officer when he had the chance. Thrawn started buying up Clone Wars era tech, including a droideka, 2 buzz droids, half a stap, and a hyperspace ring. But after 18 months, Verglo was removed from the Blood Crow with no warning.
Oh no.
And its command was moved over to Captain Philia Rossi. And things start to go less smoothly. She doesn't like Thrawn because he also has an aide, and only captains are meant to have aides. Eli kind of thinks that she's just promoted due to politics, since the only thing she seems to have served on before was an ore freighter. When on the tour of a ship, she finds the antiques. All the other officers kind of part in the hallway, waiting for the Thrawn! And Thrawn walks down.
Thrawn!
She requests the antiques are removed from her ship, but Thrawn says he hasn't. He has another idea. Rossi says that, she's the captain here. She doesn't need someone talking back to superior. And as she walks away, the senior lieutenant, Nels Drylan, says to the captain that he thinks they should hear Thrawn out. Thrawn's idea is that he continues to work on research for Clone Wars tech until they reach their port in the next 3 months. And mentions that all the tech, including the Mark I buzz droids, technically belong to the captain, and if she wants to resell them, she can. Hearing that, Rossi goes to touch her datapad, but kind of holds herself back and agrees to these terms. And Thrawn reasons that she kind of picked up what he's putting down, because the Mark I buzz droids have a dunium shell, which makes them very valuable. Hearing this result, Eli's kind of shocked, because he assumed that Rossi would want to remove all traces of Verglo. But he's kind of proud of Thrawn as well, because he remembers what Eli taught him about the selling rates of things. Like you can buy them at one price and sell them at another. He asks Thrawn if
capitalism.
He asks Thrawn if he mentioned to the captain that the buzz droids are working, to which Thrawn replies that she never asked. Through her command, Eli knew whenever there was an undesirable task, Thrawn and his aide would be ordered by Rossi to complete it, and if it was a task below the lieutenant's rank, they'd be ordered to oversee it. And that was the case. And they got a distress call from a freighter called the Dominar, which was carrying Tabana gas. And Tabana gas is highly explosive, and the way it's kept at a ship is through this technique called static locking, which causes a lot of dust to be attracted to clothing and just makes you really grubby.
Oh, gross.
To the freighter, they send, of course, Eli and Thrawn, along with Ensign Mary Barlin and technicians Lenio and Jakib. On the ship, as Eli's walking around with Lenio and Jakib, someone jumps out of him with a gun shouting freeze. Eli talks the person down and brings him to Thrawn, introducing him as Neville Signey, a member of the Dromedar's crew who hid when smugglers attacked. He's very nervous, he's a human, he has these kind of black circles in his cheeks. Kind of like tattoos.
Yeah, interesting.
He says that the smugglers took away the rest of the crew, and they'd gone to find a way to break the stasis lock. When he heard people on the ship, he assumed that it was the smugglers returned. The captain of the ship locked down the hyperdrive so it can't move. And Lenio also says it was a reactor leak. And Sidney goes, "Oh yeah, there's a reactor leak. I should have mentioned that."
Nice one, mate.
Thrawn tells Eli to talk to Rossi and ask her for permission to unlock the hyperdrive and try and free the Tabana. And Rossi instantly tries to reject the idea because it's Thrawn giving it, and she doesn't want this alien playing with explosive gases near the Blood Crow. She says that, you have to come back to ship anyway. We've been called to stop a local war somewhere else. But Eli, kind of being in the middle here, wanting to please Thrawn, but not wanting to get wrong with his captain, suggests an alternative plan. She can go off and stop this war breaking out, and Tim and Thrawn will stay here with Signey and try and sort out the situation with the hyperdrive. And Rossi thinking that, either Thrawn messes up with Tabana gas and gets blown up, or Thrawn meets the smugglers and gets blown up. Sounds like a win-win. And being overly cocky,
good.
She says, "You know what? You can come back to the Blood Crow. You can have any equipment you want.
Oh no, go.
And if you get 3 people to volunteer, they can stay with you. And to her horror, 3 people did volunteer. And Balin, Linio, and Shakib were also going to stay.
Ooh.
With Blood Crow gone, Eli kind of thought Thrawn was acting weird. He went to unlock Thrawn's gear to find that he brought one of the buzz droids on board. Thrawn explains that the stasis locks that stores Tabana only affects the inside, and that if you went outside with, say, a buzz droid, you could free it from the outside, but you would have to empty one of the cylinders, and that's a loss most people wouldn't want. Balin manages to unlock the hyperdrive, and they ask Signy if he has a destination in mind, that they should go after the Blood Crow, to which Signy replies neither, pulling out a blaster and telling Thrawn to tell his men to surrender. Then, out of the reactor leak, come many more pirates, including one with a braided beard called Angel.
Oh.
Signy tells Angel to take the prisoners to his ship with the Domidar's crew, and Angel threatens that Imperials may meet an accident. But Signy's like, no, you can't kill them. He's like, no, I'm not going to kill them. But it might be an accident. He's like, I know what it means. You say there's going to be an accident. We've had a few accidents before. No, I'm not going to kill them. But, you know, they're Imperials, so accidents happen. So look, that buzz droid, I saw in the hallway. It's a Mark 1. It's worth a lot. If you don't kill them, you can have it. So they take the prisoners and a buzz droid onto Angel's ship, which is called Marauder. And Signy's there because he knows that Angel had been rough for some prisoners before. Angel replies, you throw a punch at a Kalos, you get hit back. And Thrawn kind of asks, like, what does that word mean? And I was like, never heard of it. Angel gives his crew orders to drop the prisoners off unharmed and then meet the rest of the pirates with the Tabana gas before leaving with Signy, not trusting him. He's worried that if Signy goes off without him, he'll be cut out. One of the other prisoners asks the Imperials for a rescue squad, before explaining that Signy joined their crew before betraying them. Eli asks Thrawn if it's time yet, and he replies that he's still counting down. Eli explains to everyone in the prison that Thrawn's just counting down until the approximate time they think the Dromedar would have jumped to light speed.
Of course.
And when Thrawn finishes counting, he takes off his lieutenant's plaque, revealing that in his spare time he's filled it with a device.
A device?
A beck and call. Eli reminds him that a Blood Crow is far away, and Thrawn says it's not for a Blood Crow activating it. We hear a little buzzing as a buzz droid drills through the wall.
Oh.
The buzz droid's coming towards a beck and call, and Thrawn holds it so it cuts through bars. But the pirates hear the noise. They come to see what's happening, so Thrawn just lobs it over the pirates' heads, and the buzz droid charges at them. And because of its strong shell, their fire does nothing. Thrawn's managed to escape and take command of the Marauder, flying it to join the Blood Crow. Rossi's furious that Thrawn managed to get himself captured. The more Thrawn explains about his plan, the more stress she gets. He says that he knew that Signy wasn't a killer because he didn't go to shoot them when the hyperdrive was turned off. A reaction Thrawn was looking for in a reflection, and assures Maul that if Signy went to pull a gun, he could have stopped him. Rossi kind of can't believe that Thrawn would put the rest of her crew in harm's way. And then Thrawn goes, look, I knew Signy was a plant from the beginning because he didn't want to have a reactor leak. And, he was kind of in a tough situation there because if he did bring it up, it would be like, why did he just bring up that threat? And if he didn't bring it up at all, we may have walked in on his pirates. And was like, this is insane! What are you talking about?
You stupid little blue man, what is this?
But Eli kind of realises that Thrawn hasn't done anything which can get him reprimanded. Or so he thinks. Because Rossi points out that Tabana gas is worth a lot more than a crew. And for that reason, she suspends Thrawn from duty straight away. And Thrawn's like, what do you mean that this gas is worth more than people? Eli goes to defend Thrawn, but kind of stops himself because he doesn't want to be suspended as well. He's like, this is his chance to step out from Thrawn's shadow, him off the ship, for crew will finally be able to see what he can do on his own. And Thrawn steps in and goes, and you can keep Eli. I'm sure he'll be a useful asset. which just annoys her enough to suspend Eli as well. And Eli thinks that this was a purposeful statement to get him suspended. And they're dropped off at an Imperial base, and as they're leaving the ship, Thrawn apologises. Remember, Eli wants to stay with Blood Crow. He explains that now together they can track the Domodar and get back the valuable to Bene Gas. He knows there's only 4 days until the gas was meant to be sold off. So he plans to interrogate the pirate crew they captured, as long as he can get permission of Admiral Wiscovus, who's the boss of this prison.
Big boss.
As Thrawn prepares for this interrogation, he worked out the criminal gang are called for Kulos, and that's why it was said. And he explains to Eli that the reason he's here is because he needs a witness for what he's about to do.
And it had to be Eli. You know, he couldn't have gotten anybody else to do it. It just had to be Eli.
Speaking over the comm, Thrawn offers the prisoners a deal, recognising they have a very similar accent to Vanto. He names them as a remnant of Pirate Queen Ka'an's Marauders, an organisation that Tarkin has for years been attempting to wipe out. He tells them that Tarkin's on his way, but if they tell the Empire where the Dromedar went, he'll advise Tarkin to let them go. The prisoners like, you obviously don't know Tarkin, mate. He doesn't let prisoners go.
You don't know Tarkin.
You don't know Tarkin like I know Tarkin.
I know Tarkin, alright?
I've read his novel.
I'm Tarkin's #1 fan. You can't fool me.
Thrawn says, okay, Tarkin will let you go, but he's not here yet. If you tell me where the Dromedar is, I'll let you go before Tarkin arrives. And Thrawn gives them time to decide. But the prisoners, knowing they're still being listened to, decide to speak in a language that they know Imperial droids can't understand. A language which, being from the edge of wild space, they grew up using. The language of Cybisti. And they're talking about giving Thrawn a forced location.
The fools.
And they're gonna go off and warn Angel. One of the pirates asks if a Dromedar will still even be at the mating point. And another one retorts that we're lucky to find an Updum Squash who can do that level of slicing to get the burner out. Our pirates tell Thrawn the ship is on a planet named Cutium, and Thrawn lets them go as promised. Thrawn then worked with Admiral Wiscovus and Eli, who worked out that Ubdub was slang for Uber in the Brass sector.
Uber? What, as in, are they going to get a taxi?
Thrawn reveals that he's never actually spoken to Tarkin. He just knows man's repping, but if he threw his name out there, they'd panic.
And he was giving it the whole, you don't know Tarkin, I know Tarkin.
When actually, he doesn't know Tarkin.
He doesn't know shit.
You know
about
Tarkin.
I know Tarkin. Now, the thing is, I know Tarkin.
No, I know Tarkin.
No. I know Tarkin. I know that Tarkin has...
Yep.
He's about to experience some hauntings soon.
Well, I know Tarkin might be gay, so...
That was my other point!
Happy Pride Month, everyone.
Happy Pride Month. Especially to you, Tarkin.
You gay bastard.
Listen. Eli and Thrawn have a vibe about them. And I feel like it's deliberate. The Pride Month episode has been deliberate. They've got a vibe.
That was going to be one of my endpoints. That
oh no!
Thrawn and Eli is one of the big Star Wars ships, and
I'm not surprised.
And if Thrawn wasn't Ace, which isn't canonical, but it's my read, I feel like he'd be a very efficient lover. Wiscovus goes to release the pirates, but Thrawn stops him, saying he can't do it, which Wiscovus kind of reads as Thrawn giving orders to an admiral, which he knows can't be right. Eli jumps in to smooth things over, saying that Thrawn just wants to bring any blowback on himself, which Wiscovus now reads as Thrawn trying to take all the credit.
Uh-oh.
Thrawn assures them both that if he does succeed, he'll share the honour, but if he fails, then Eli would testify that it was all his idea. And Wiscovus and Eli kind of turn to each other. Wiscovus did he just say that you would lie in court for him? And I was like, I believe he did.
He was like, I would. For that sexy, sexy man, I would.
Thrawn tells Scobus to send ships to both Ubar and also to Ketium, as the names came so easily that Signy may have some men there. And now we go to Ascension Week on Coruscant, where Arinda Price has made a friend.
Yay!
She's now got a friend called Juahir Madras, and they're currently making plans for Ascension Week, which is a week-long celebration ending with Empire Day, the anniversary of the Empire's creation.
Well, they have like a big. I'm imagining they have like a big parade, and there's like a big parade float that's shaped like Palpatine, and it's all really, really great. And his hands, like the fingers wiggle, and they go up and down and stuff, and there's like little like lightning sparks between them. It's all great fun.
There's like a Death Star parade balloon, but because like the
Yeah.
Death Star is still a secret project, it's all just it's like got top secret taped around it.
They've covered it in like a tarp, and it's like something else that's round.
Coming
it's like
soon.
a scoop of ice cream. Or...
Yeah. The main celebration is in a place called Core Square, which is a great place to talk to the Imperial elite. Over the past 2 years, Price has slowly been working her way up, but this year, she doesn't think she can go because she's struggling with housing. Ranking's office can sleep 10, and she's currently number 18 on the waiting list. And employees aren't allowed to sleep in cars this year after last year one of Ranking's employees was found doing spice in one.
Oh, it was all a big thing. They had to ruin it for everyone. So I love the fact that this poor woman is just suffering so much with housing. It really says something. I feel like when the author was writing this, they were just like really pissed off about something to do with their landlord, which I don't blame them for.
Luckily, Arinda's friend Junior here has a friend called Drilla Modap, who works for an advocacy group and has an uncle who has a flat that overlooks the Imperial Palace.
Oh,
and
nice.
they can all stay there as long as Arinda gets them into one party. The three go to an Imperial ball at the Arisandre Hotel, and while looking around, they see a blue alien in a naval outfit, with an ISB officer, an ensign, and someone else. Drilla jokes that the alien could be a Pantoran with an eye condition due to the glowing red eyes and blue skin. And Arinda says she's going to go over and find out who he is, because she's just realised that the fourth person is Senator Ranking. She walks over, and Ranking introduces Ensign Vanto, and Lieutenant Thrawn, and Colonel Wolf Yularen, who is a big guy. He was like Anakin's second in command during the Clone Wars. In the like Death Star scene in Episode 4, he's in that room. He's recently been in Andor. He's like a big guy in Star Wars. And his current thing...
He's a big name in Star Wars.
His current thing is that he's trying to get Thrawn some good press before a disciplinary meeting. Miranda notices that Vanto looks uncomfortable and recognises his Warspace accent, thinking about all the work she's put into hiding her own. At this point, she's, got that nice crisp Coruscant tea. Oh, I do say, Captain Thrawn. Ranking has a job for Price to do. To deliver a data card to Moff Gideon. So she says her goodbyes to Junior and Drilla, promising to be back soon. Finding Gideon around the party, Moff takes Arinda back to his suite where his datapad is. Once they enter, she has the sudden realization that just this one room in the hotel is twice the size of her apartment, and probably costs twice her monthly wages for one night.
The fucking housing. The housing market is in shambles on Coruscant.
She hands him a data card that Rankin gave her, and he puts it into his device and then takes it out and hands it back. But Arinda notices that something's wrong with it. Just doesn't feel right. It's the same weight, but Ranking's logo used to be like etched on, but now it's embossed. And Gandhi is like, oh, so you've realised it's not the same card. And pulling a vial out of his sleeve, he throws spice over Arinda.
Uh-oh. That's social sabotage.
He then blackmails her to return the card to Ranking, saying, well, I could call the authorities now, and you have enough spice on you to be charged as a dealer. So don't do that.
Literally on you.
He reveals that Ranking's data card was going to steal his data, but instead, this data card is going to steal Ranking's. At a party, Yularen tells Thrawn that his ideas about the Tabana may have paid off. On a list of names, Yularen points at one, Night Swan, who he expects is some kind of criminal consultant. They gave a report back on the troops that were sent to where the Drydar was meant to be. And Signy managed to escape along with 12 of the 20 Dibana cylinders. They were emptied using a technique which was very similar to the one Thrawn suggested, which kind of makes Eli hide behind his collar. Thrawn fears that the military may use this as a reason to fire him, but Yularen assures him that if the military ever did fire him, the ISB would happily pick him up. And he even says that he could imagine Thrawn looking amazing in a white uniform.
I wonder what this man would look like in white. I've never seen it before.
That's like the, it's like that bit in DMC where the white wig flies onto Dante and he looks at her and goes,
Yeah.
no.
I can't believe that I got that reference, but yeah, thanks for reference.
When Jirahir and Drilla return back to the apartment and find Arinda there, they ask why she left and she tells them that she just felt unwell. And the next day, early, she's called into Ranking's office with most of his staff. And he reveals that allegations were raised against him and he needs to return to Lothal. He'll have to close 7 of his offices to save funding, including Arinda's.
No.
After the meeting, he talks to Arinda and asks what she did. And she explains that, when Gardy was trying to blackmail her, she had to give information up in Ranking. And Ranking kind of calls her an idiot for trusting that Gardy would follow through on his threats, and tells her apartment has already been emptied. Jirahir offers that Arinda can stay with her, but she says the only thing she needs from the two of them is to stay at Drilla's until the end of Ascension Week, and by then she'll be sorted. Thrawn is called in for his reprimand, but has all his charges dropped. Thrawn and Eli go to get their new orders, but as we're about to head into the office, Thrawn gets pulled aside by Culper, who is an aide to Moff Gideon. And Thrawn gives Eli permission to stand outside, and Culper kind of goes, "Oh, I didn't know an ensign needed a lieutenant's order to stand outside a room. That's kind of weird."
If you're Eli, then yeah.
But you know what? It's okay, because we'd like to offer you a promotion. The way Culper phrases it is that Thrawn is stealing all the credit from the human crew. But Eli counters that Thrawn is the one pushing for commendations for all the people who are involved in missions.
Oh, he's a good boss.
And that, he kind of doesn't want the credit himself.
That's quite sweet.
Eli, still though, he's still an ensign, and he should have been raised up by now. And he thinks about it, but then Culper mentions that it would be a big step for someone from wild space. And Eli starts to get suspicious. She's being xenophobic towards aliens, now she's being xenophobic towards wild space people. Why was he even singled out here? And he realises it's a political manoeuvre against Thrawn. And he realises that Thrawn isn't being demoted as someone would usually be after, messing up this badly. He's actually being promoted to captain. And Culper says, if you don't come with us, we'll make sure you stay as an ensign for a long time. Eli still turns down the offer, turning his door open to congratulate Thrawn on the promotion. And Thrawn is just taken aback that Eli worked out he'd got a promotion. Thrawn asks Eli what that conversation was about, and Eli says it was a job offer, and Thrawn kind of goes, was it better than your current job? And Eli thinks about working at Thrawn's side, and thinks about the chance of having his own command, and goes, nah, it wasn't better.
Aww.
They then head to Captain Thrawn's first ship, the Thunder Wasp, a light cruiser. Meanwhile, in the System's Assistant's office, Price goes to the most depressed-looking worker, and of course, she doesn't find any jobs. So she gets out of the desk, and then walks to the manager's office, and says, I've just sat down with one of your employees, and they didn't help me at all, so I'd like her job. I was like, oh. That's not how it works. So it says, look, you've got a few spare desks out there. I will work this week for free, and then at the end of it, you can see whose numbers are better, and keep them on. And this is prime place. It's it's near Core Square. It's Ascension Week. There's a lot of traffic. Of course, he's going to take an extra hand. On the Thunder Wasp, Thrawn and Eli work under Commander Elfrin Shino, who always kind of needs explained how Thrawn pulls off his amazing feats, and Eli is happy to be there to explain.
To big up his boyfriend.
Thrawn is like growing proud of how much Eli is able to deduce his reasoning, and best part, Chino is fine with Thrawn purchasing more Clone Wars tech.
This is BBC Sherlock, but carry on.
Thrawn shows Eli some data he's been collecting about the price of Clone Wars equipment over time, and Eli realizes that 5 months ago the price of Vulture droids started skyrocketing. Thrawn tells Eli that the Vulture droids are being brought under the name Night Swan, who Thrawn has been following with Yularen for the last few months. Thrawn then tells Eli that a lot of the Vulture droids seem to be going to Umbara, so that's where Thunder Wasp is now heading. On their journey, Thrawn also tells Eli that he thinks that the Empire is working on some secret military thing, and that's what's raising the Dunium prices so high. As they arrive on Umbara, Eli walks in on Thrawn looking at art of the Umbaran people. Eli informs Thrawn that he's late for a meeting with the captain of the Imperial Star Destroyer Foremost, who is Karlu Gendling, and this guy has also brought 2 Kveits with him, and that Gendling is about to give the Umbarans an ultimatum. Thrawn's had a look at this Gendling's file, and thinks he has an overinflated opinion of himself. But Gendling is there telling the Umbarans that he's heard they have illegal weapons, and they should give them up. Before they can answer, 400 Vulture droids come out from behind the moon, battle ready.
Uh-oh.
Thrawn warns that the Vulture droids are not an Umbaran attack, and the Umbarans haven't responded because they're waiting to see how the Imperial react. If the rest of the Empire's weak, of course they'll take a chance to attack, but the Vulture droids are their own threat. Looking at tracking data, Thrawn sees patterns on the attacks, and he realises the Vulture droids are more efficient than they usually would be. So he quickly asks, has anyone here had any combat experience with Vulture droids before? To which Senior Lieutenant Hammerly says she has, so Thrawn orders her off the Turbo Laser Station.
Hammerly?
Lieutenant Hammerly.
It's me.
You won this round.
Lieutenant Hammerly.
You won this round.
Thank you.
So he orders her off the station and takes the Center Officer station for himself. And Eli's worried that Thrawn is kind of usurping command here. And he thinks that Thrawn already knew that Hammerly had the experience, and just asks that as a reason to get her to move away from her post. Thrawn, looking at the sense data, tells Eli that Vulture droids are definitely getting orders from somewhere. And he points out that there's kind of shadows where they return to their normal programming where the signal can't get them. He backtraces these shadows to work out where the transmitter is, and he tells Commander Shino to give Gendling the location of the transmitter and tell him to shoot it down. Gendling, of course, calls the idea ludicrous, claiming it would be impossible to work out where the transmission was coming from, and not wanting to shoot a civilian population. So then Thrawn orders that the transmission shadow be sent to all ships, with orders to shoot the droids when they're there. Because the droids are less efficient, the Imperials focusing on these areas manage to take out all the droids, but the battle is costly. Gendling feels outsmarted and stood up by Shino and promises to end Shino's career, taking both Shino and Thrawn into a meeting. As they go, Shino tells Thrawn that it was an honour to be his commander.
Oh, R.I.P. King.
Thrawn asks Eli if there's any side of Night Swan being involved. Eli says that there's not much. But he does say that Umbara is, however, a big source of Dunium. Thrawn reasons that Night Swan wanted the Empire to come to Umbara, think the Vulture droid attack was an Umbaran attack, and then take it over, because it's easier to smuggle past the bigger force. And Thrawn suggests that Night Swan must manage this whole thing to get Thrawn here, somehow knowing about his interest in Clone Wars tech, knowing he'd see the market fluctuation, and knowing that he'd be able to backtrack it to Umbara and lead this assault. Basically, Thrawn is getting a bit full of himself. Or
yeah, a little bit.
Has a Moriarty out there.
Has a Moriarty.
Again, Night Swan is a criminal consultant.
Oh no! Oh fuck, you're right. Oh, that's literally yeah. Oh no, there is yikes. When did this book come out again?
2017.
Okay.
After BBC Sherlock.
After this is post the monumental shift in our culture that was BBC Sherlock. We're saying this. I need to say this with the context for the listeners that I was one of those teens that was very much in I was in on BBC Sherlock.
Are we doing this?
But no, I'll freely admit it. I'll freely admit it. I was very into BBC Sherlock as a teen, and I was regularly disappointed.
I'll admit it that I still quite like the first 2.5 seasons.
You know what? Yeah, I do
That's some
too.
decent TV, and as a Moffat apologist, sorry, not sorry.
Well, I'm not a Moffat apologist, but I will still admit that. Yeah, you know what? I'll let it be.
Also, you know who was in BBC Sherlock with his own mind palace?
Who's it? Oh!
Grand Admiral Thrawn, baby!
Fucking Lars Mikkelsen!
Lars Mikkelsen!
Yo! Lars Mikkelsen! Oh my god, it's all coming back. We're bringing it all home now.
I'm not a psychopath, Commandant. I'm a high-functioning Grand Admiral.
Oh no! Oh. I want to die slightly, actually. I think I want to die a little bit.
If this is a good podcast, send in your emails to crashingthestarfighter@gmail.com or message
Send
us
us your opinions.
at crashingthestarfighter on Instagram.
Send us your opinions on BBC Sherlock. When did you think it went off the rails? We want to know.
Arinder is managing to get fulfillment from her job, but once more. For the first time in 6 months, Drilla and Juna here come to visit, and they go out for dinner at the Pinnacle, a really fancy croissant restaurant.
Ooh, croissant restaurant.
Juna here tells Arinder that she's now got a job at a dojo, training Senate bodyguards, and that she needs a roommate. And Drilla has a job at an advocacy group called Higher Skies that he wants to give to Arinder as they need a mining expert.
Mm.
At Higher Skies, Price sees the rising rates of imperial takeovers of mines, and sees that Thrawn's been rising the ranks since she met him. After work, she takes the turbolift home, but it doesn't stop at her floor, and instead, it stops on level 4,120, 1,000 levels from the top. She decides to walk to another turbolift, having called Juna here for help, but on the walk she gets approached by some thugs and they recognise her as someone with money.
I misheard that as some fucks. And on the walk, it's just the confidence with it. You said it. She gets approached by some fucks.
She gets approached by some thugs.
By some thugs.
Thugs, child. As they go to attack her, a man and a woman approach behind them and save Arinder. And it's revealed to be Juna here and Otlis Dos, a bodyguard from the dojo.
Ooh.
Thrawn, back on Coruscant, meets with Yularen. They talk about Night Swan, as a name that's come up everywhere. And Yularen's kind of worried that something big is being planned, and they're using the name as a distraction to get them looking at everywhere except where they should be. Looking at a list for a pattern, Thrawn brings up that Coruscant would be a prime ground to grow and rest, and suggests they do a tour of the dojos, training Senate guards. Going to the Yin Chom dojo, Thrawn, Yularen, and Eli meet Price again, who is now a member there. She tells them about Higher Skies and introduces them to Juna here and the owner, a cat person called Togoran Hasishi.
Ooh.
Yularen asks for information on the bodyguards that get the training here, and Thrawn notes that Juna here seems uncomfortable. So Thrawn then challenges Hasishi to a fight, and Thrawn tells her not to hold back. The time is set for 3 minutes, and they're at it for the whole 3. And at the end, Hasishi comments that Thrawn's form is amazing and unseen. And Thrawn says that, if I'm back in Coruscant, maybe we could compare notes.
Ooh.
As they leave, Yularen kind of asks Thrawn, did he just want some exercise, or what was it about? And Thrawn reveals what he's worked out. Juna here has a secret with Higher Skies. As soon as Price said the name, she looked up. Juna had also obviously heard of Thrawn and Yularen. Thrawn's weakness, however, is while he's got good at reading human faces, non-humans he still finds an issue. So he challenged Tashishi to give her a chance to take him out, because she didn't go too aggressive, for reasons that she's not part of any conspiracy here. Thrawn asks if they can look into Higher Skies some more, but Yularen says that no. Thrawn's had some new orders come through. For the next 4 weeks, Eli and Thrawn will be chilling at the palace with Palps while the Thunder Wasp is fixed up.
Hell yeah!
At which point Thrawn...
Now that's something that I want to see.
...will be taking command.
Whoa.
You know who I think would love 4 weeks chilling in the palace with Palps?
Oh, I wonder who.
Choso!
To be honest, I would like to have 4 weeks to chill at the Palace of Palps, honestly. Why not?
If it isn't Lieutenant Hammerly.
It's me, Balbadine.
And I'd like you to meet one of my chief consultants. Ah, hello there. I'm a consultant for Emperor Palpatine, and I'm also here. Hammerly, meet Count Vidian. The two of you will be working closely together.
Vidian.
Why, hello there, Hammerly. How's it going?
Dream scenario. Count Vidian can't be in this story because he'd steal Eli away. He's just too charismatic and great.
Thrawn, what are you watching? It's art, Eli. You wouldn't understand it. It's the new holovid from...
You wouldn't understand it. Oh no! It's art, Eli. You wouldn't get it.
It's the new holovid from my favourite XXX shop on Coruscant.
Vidian's vids.
Vidian's vids.
It's from Vidian's vids. He's taking a career pivot.
One night, Otis invites Arinda to her employer's office for a late-night sparring session.
Oh.
But when she gets to the office, Otis seems distracted. He leads her up to a room and opens the door to reveal Moff Gideon.
Dun, 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 dun.
Arinda manages to keep her cool, telling Gideon that if he was so eager to take down Ranking, then they could have worked together, because she also wasn't too fond of him. And she would like to find a way to do it which didn't take her career down with him. Moff counters that she seems to have done well for herself on her own. Gideon tells Arinda that Higher Skies is spying on him somehow, and he wants to know if it was Tarkin who set it up. She doesn't know anything about this, but Gideon doesn't believe her, so to prove her ignorance, she calls up Driller and says that she's been invited to Moff Gideon's office and if there's anything he should look for, which seems to confuse Driller.
Ooh.
Thinking on her feet, she then tells Driller that she's been offered a job for Tarkin and tries to see how he'll react. And Driller says while he'd be sad to see her go, she should go for the best job.
What he should have said was, you don't know Tarkin.
Price feels that she's confirmed that Tarkin isn't involved with Higher Skies. But Gideon tells her that she's now his.
Oh.
And she's to feed him all the info she can get from Higher Skies. At home, Price thinks about the situation she's stuck in and realises that Gideon thinks he has all the cards.
Okay.
She collects some information and then sets up a meeting with someone in the military she thinks she can speak to. Someone who's currently on Coruscant. Someone called Thrawn. They meet in a public diner, and when she gets there, Thrawn's already sitting there wearing some sunglasses to hide his glowing red eyes. Narinda goes up to him and goes, "You're like a Pantoran," to which Thrawn replies, "I get that a lot."
It's the funniest exchange. I don't know why, that just felt so out of character.
Arinda tells Thrawn that Gideon has some off-record minds, and she wants him to give the info to Yularen. Thrawn says he will, but not until the time's right, saying that Gideon's probably got eyes in the ISB. Price tells Thrawn that she can be a useful ally, and tells him that his ship is being kept behind the repair lines because of xenophobic higher-ups, making sure that other ships get priority. And she also tells him that they're the ones holding back Eli from getting a
Go on,
promotion.
Thrawn, get him.
Thrawn tells Arinda that she needs to work out who the enemy of her enemy is, and then she has two options. Either she can make that enemy a friend, or she can leverage the enemy of the enemy to make her current enemy a friend. And Arinda thinks and works out who Gardy would be most upset about her working with. Back in the office, she's getting files, and Price calls up Gardy to let him know she's found a heavily encrypted Tarkin file.
Very important.
And Gardy asks for her to bring it ASAP. Thunder Wasp, now under Thrawn's complete control, is sent to the planet Cypher to deal with a land dispute between the native Stickin sect like 8th clan and the human colonists. The humans say they're being attacked in border raids, but the 8th say that they're retaliating to human raids.
The 8th say, get stick bugged, lol.
I hate you. Podcast over.
That's the hill that you're going to die on today. There has been some bullshit today.
Meeting with the colonists, well, people say the 8th are not to be trusted because of the clan thing. All the clan members follow the leader. Thrawn asks Eli who he thinks is in the conspiracy, and when he lists names, Thrawn tells him he's completely right. Thrawn is so proud of Eli's deductive skills.
That's so cute.
Thrawn then meets with the 8th leaders in their mobile meeting house, and tells the clan leader to clear the surrounding area that night. Thrawn's worked out a raise a distraction to distract from the real target, a collection of pre-spice found underground. Thrawn and Eli stake out the vein. When a raiding party arrives, Thrawn and Eli get into a fight and manage to take down the conspirators between them. But Eli feels bad, but Thrawn did most of the fighting, and he feels like he made a few blunders.
Oh, don't be so hard on
At
yourself.
one point he goes to fight, but realises he's gone the wrong way, and he's explained this to Thrawn, but Thrawn goes, "If it wasn't for your distraction, Ensign Vanto, then I would have been overrun." And I was like, love the support. I wasn't trying to be a distraction.
You should have
I was
just
trying to be
you should
helpful.
just run with it. That's what I would have done. You should have just been like, yeah, actually, you know what? Yeah, do thank me.
The prisoners point out that Thrawn has nothing to arrest them on, as possession of pre-spice isn't illegal, and there are no raids happening that night because they assume Thrawn will be keeping an eye out. Right now, the other conspirators are back at their base, hiding the spice that they've already made. And when Thrawn asks about Night Swan, he finds out that he was involved here.
Ooh.
Thrawn gives a TIE pilot a sensor that can detect the spice, and tells him to fly after it, following the vein underground.
The spice sensor.
And Thrawn gets a Thunder Wasp to follow that trail, with some orbital bombardment destroying the whole vein.
Waste a good spice.
The 8th Chief is of course not happy about the destruction of his land, and says he'll register a complaint, but Thrawn tells him that now that the vein of spice has been destroyed, there's no reason for humans to attack, and in his mind the job is done.
That's one way to look at it.
Eli comes over and warns Thrawn that High Command is furious about this, but before they take off, the TIE pilot, called Gim, comes over and asks Eli if he remembers him, revealing that he was one of the attackers from the Academy. He laughs, saying that Thrawn probably tried to get him kicked out, but really, that promotion was the best thing that ever happened to him. He laughs at Eli for still being an ensign.
Mean.
As if they're seething. Back on Coruscant, Driller tells Arinda that he has her next target. The one she almost left her current job for. Grand Moff Tarkin.
Whoa.
Meeting of Tarkin arranged. She enters the room and says that it's a long walk from the door to his desk, and the carpet feels like it's going to trip you up. All mind tactics Tarkin does to get in your head.
Of course. Classic Tarkin, because you know I know Tarkin.
When Arinda gets to the desk, she gives Tarkin a data card. And he looks at the data on it and finds it most interesting. And it's like, yeah, but pulls out a second data card. This is the one I meant to give you, with the highest guy's brochure, which secretly encrypts and steals your data. This gets Tarkin's attention. And he looks at the data again and says that he knows it all, which kind of diminishes Arinda's spirits, but no, it's good that I know it all, because it means that it's correct. Ba-da-bum. Arinda tells him that she thinks her employers are rebels, and that when she goes to places, she only gets enough data, but they'll keep her in the loop. Arinda also tells Tarkin that she's been working with Colonel Yularen and Thrawn, and Tarkin is like, I see a name drop him. Arinda tells him that all the information is going to go to Yularen, but she thought Tarkin would like a preview. She says that, look, let's help each other out here. I want to give you some information before Yularen gets it. I want you to help Thrawn get his ship through repairs quicker. I want you to get his Ensign promotion, and Tarkin's like, hang on, what's this?
Hold the fuck up.
Someone in the military is not getting promotions? This is outrageous. This poor man has been serving in the military. He deserves to be honoured. And he's like, hang on, wait a second. What is it you want, Miss Price? And Arinza goes, it's not much, I just want to be governor of Lothal.
It's not much.
I just want to be planned to be governor.
Just a little bit, just a little.
Tarkin says the information she's provided isn't enough of that. So she goes, okay, I have some more. I have some information about Moff Gideon. But before, I'd like to play this video. And she plays a video, and it's her conversation with him about the Tarkin file, but her voice is like disrupted, so you can't make out who it is. You can just hear Gideon offering to bring me the secret information on Tarkin so I can then blackmail him.
Bring me the pictures of Tarkin.
Tarkin takes that file as well and goes, look, you get him there, but there still isn't enough for a governorship. And it's like, okay. This is my last one. And she pulls out another data point and it's like, this is all the local information on Lothal, all secret mines, all the claims which are yet to be untouched, all the disputes between who hates who, all the gossip, it's all here.
It's got all the hot goss.
And she hands it to Tarkin, and Tarkin smiles and goes, this is all you have. It's still not enough for a governorship. You don't understand how big a thing you're asking for. I'm taking this, but if you want a governorship, I'm going to need you to get me some more information.
I will take it. I will keep it.
I want you to get me more information, which it'll be easier for you to get when you're a governor. But going from a lowly citizen to a governor is a bit of a jump. So I say 2 years training on Coruscant. You can be acting governor. You can still get me the information I want. And about 2 years down the line, you can be full-time governor of Lothal.
Ooh.
And it works out because Governor Azadi was going to be removed anyway.
Fair.
Windsor agrees to Tarkin's terms.
Tarkin's terms?
But says, hey, you know that first data disk I gave you? That's only half the highest guy's information.
Whoa!
The other half is here. And you can get that when I'm sworn in.
Whoa! The big plays!
Arinza goes to the interim Jojo. And Junahir asks what she's doing there, to which she replies she's between jobs. Oh, what jobs? Well, I just had a meeting with Tarkin, and I think I'm going to get a new job. Oh, that's good. And what are you doing here? Oh, I'm making an arrest. Who are you arresting? Oh, Junahir.
Oh.
I'm arresting you.
Oh, no.
And then Yularen comes in with some ISB agents, and they take Junahir away.
No.
As the dojo has been filling bodyguards' heads with anti-imperial sentiments,
No.
to the extent that one of the bodyguards here attacked their senator.
Oh, bro.
Thrawn and Eli continue to chase Night Swan. After 4 years of Thrawn, Eli starts to spot the patterns. His deduction skill is now getting almost as good as Thrawn's.
Okay, Watson.
They're summoned back to Coruscant for an unknown reason. When they get there, Eli sees Tarkin and goes, oh, okay, Thrawn's getting promoted again. And he hears new Commodore Thrawn, and he claps, he applauds. He's thinking about the next place where to look for smugglers, and he's got the shipping charts in his head, in his mind palace.
It is mind palace.
To a point where he almost misses the next bit. An honour to rectify a situation that has for too long been able to stand.
Oh.
Would like to promote Eli Vanto from ensign to lieutenant commander.
Whoa!
Which is an unheard jump in the Imperial military.
Holy shit!
Thrawn congratulates Eli, and after a few speeches, Tarkin comes over to them, giving him regards of Arinda Price. Eli wonders what Gim, the TIE pilot, will make of his new rank, and the two head to Thrawn's new ship, the Imperial Star Destroyer Chimera.
Ooh.
And I know we haven't done this yet, Emily.
Yeah.
I know we haven't done this yet, but in your pack,
oh my goodness!
there are some pictures.
I've forgotten all about it. Okay, let's go.
We have all the comic covers which you haven't been looking at. But at this point, I would like you to look at image 5.
I will look at image 5. Whoa! That's
This
the
is
shit.
from the comic, and it's the scene of Thrawn getting the Chimera, and it's this really cool page. It
Very
kind of all
cool.
blends together. And the reason I want to pull your attention here is A, you get Palp looking sexy.
You do.
B, you get Thrawn looking sexy.
You do.
But also, that marking in the centre
Yes, I was about to
is
ask
the
about it.
design, which is actually on the underside of a Chimera.
That's really cool. It's like some sort of like creepy like piranha plant type thing.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of looks like the logo of that will be on a Spider-Man suit.
It kind of looks like the Doom token from Arkham Horror.
Left field references. Let's go.
The Chimera goes on a few missions. They hear about a troop transport which has been under attack. When they go there, they find out that it's actually a prisoner transport on the down low.
Uh-oh.
It's been raided and the prisoners have been freed, and they follow it back to this secret Imperial prison where Wookiees are being kept. And Thrawn manages to find out where the insurgents are, shoot a prison, no casualties. All he had to do was shoot an Imperial base, and it's kind
Classic
of good.
Thrawn.
Eli is really uncomfortable about the fact the Empire is using slaves, but Thrawn kind of says, we don't know, maybe have life debted himself to the Empire, or they may be here ethically, or fuck it, yeah, maybe slaves. But
but I don't care.
but like, it's not our place to question orders.
I mean, I'm not gonna say that like his position is questionable, but I'm not gonna say it's unexpected.
Another mission sent on by Fleet Admiral Danasi is to pacify an uprising on planet Botajeff, led by planetary governor Cressel. As they get there, they see 2 corvettes leaving, and they get a holo of the governor in the palace.
Hello there.
He goads Thrawn into an attack, and Thrawn sends 2 TIE squadrons, gets them to fly next to the corvettes while the governor's on call. And he sends them to destroy a palace. The governor's like, "What? No, you're not actually destroying a palace, are you?" The palace gets destroyed. But sure enough, the governor's fine, because he is actually on one of the corvettes. When the TIEs flew past, Thrawn heard of them in the recording, and tracked the right one. What it was the governor was trying to goad the Imperial into destroying a palace. He could fake his own death while he ran away with a bunch of priceless art.
Oh damn! If there's one thing that you don't want to do, it's try and steal art in front of Thrawn.
Don't do art crime around Thrawn, guys.
Don't do art crime around Thrawn.
Meanwhile, on Thrawn.
Meanwhile, on Thrawn.
Meanwhile, on Lothal, Price is there, and she sets up Mr. McKeftua as the acting ruler. Price then shuts down Price Mining, which really upsets Senator Ranking. But her logic is that the Dunium vein there has been mined completely. But after Ranking's gone, she gets in someone who worked at Price Mining and goes, "Hey, I know that there's a secret Dunium vein behind the boulder at the end. If you dig past that, you can get that. Price Mining is now mine again." And she seizes farmland for an Imperial expansion onto Lothal, making it the Imperial stronghold in the sector.
Oh.
Sadly, another planet called Kintoni is competing for the naval expansion. So Price gets Thrawn to back her bid, and she knows Thrawn will do his research, so she makes the bid as even as she can, not weighing the stats, which of course Thrawn does look into, and he appreciates her honesty. And she then sends Senator Ranking to convince Governor Sands of Kintoni to back down. But he does this through bribery, and is arrested thanks to a recording Price provided. So Price Mining back in her hand, and her old enemy destroyed, she's in a pretty good place.
Yeah, I'd say so.
As she leaves Coruscant to go to Lothal full time, she hears that Juna here has been asking for her help. And she ignores those messages.
Ooh. It's cold.
Following their winning spree, Thrawn is promoted to Admiral, and is pulled together with a major task force, including Fleet Admiral Danasi, Worf Yularen, Admiral Durrell of the ISD Judicator, Admiral Kinshar of the ISD Stalwart, Governor Restos of Batoon, Governor Ristran of Danash, Governor Estrom of Saman, and Governor Price of Lothal. Someone asks why Price is here, and basically there's some insurgency happening on these planets, but Lothal is being covered by this guy called Admiral Constantine, and Price is just here to watch how the other admirals deal with things. Insurgents have taken over an Imperial garrison on Batoon, on an island called Scrim. It's a base with 3 working ion cannons, and there's a lot of hostages. Thrawn is asked to lead this attack, but he doesn't feel he has enough time to assess the threat properly. Donatus wants fast results, and so decides to send Thrawn to Saman instead, choosing to send the gloating Durrell to Batoon. Eli fears that Thrawn refusing a mission has potentially burned his reputation with the Coruscant fleet. And they walk towards the ship they came down in, which is an nondescript freighter that they took from the smugglers called the Slipknot.
Sorry. I was just mental images.
I thought you'd like the name.
Yeah, I do.
And while they're walking to the ship, Thrawn is, of course, looking at Samaniart.
Of course.
Once in the ship, Thrawn sends orders to Commander Pharaoh, who is this commander who came with the Chimera. And he orders her to attack for Saman and gives her some clear attacks. They'll probably bunker down. If they do, send ion blasts. They'll flee into space and you can capture them. You know, it gives her step by step. If they do A, do B. If they do B, do C.
Oh.
Because he's not going to Saman. No. Having turned down the attack on Batoon, Thrawn and Eli get in the Slipknot and go to watch Admiral Durrell fail. Sure enough, he goes in head first. He starts shooting at the island. The ion blasts come up, and quickly, it looks like he's going to lose. But Thrawn's more interested in watching these 8 ships fly away from the base, and while 7 of them continue along the land, one of them flies up in space, and he tells Eli to hail them, claiming to be a smuggler called Horatio Fig, trying to do some weapons deals. So Eli does it, says, "Hey, I saw you leaving that base. Got any of the good stuff? If you do, drop me some coords and I'll join you." And not thinking that it's really sus, they do send him some coordinates. And Eli then realises that they have a choice. They can either stay here and watch track where the other 7 ships go, which will make them late for the rendezvous and make them suspicious, or they can jump now and lose his other 7 ships. But of course, Eli realises that Thrawn has an answer to this. And now an admiral, he has multiple ships to command. In fact, he has a light cruiser called the Chirac, also in orbit, watching his other 7 ships, so the Slipknot can jump on after the ship. Before they leave, Thrawn does Durrell the pleasure of calling in the distress call for him, because he thinks his pride will stop him from doing so.
Aww. Nice guy, Thrawn.
On the journey, Thrawn gets Eli to change into an officer's uniform, which is definitely too big for him. Has a blast mark on the chest. The story being, he took it from an Imperial he killed to intimidate people. Thrawn then gives him his old lieutenant plaque and 2 guns, one of them which to hide, and one of which to have on show. The Slipknot lands in this bigger ship. Eli exits, while Thrawn tells him to wait for the signal. Eli hands over the first gun, but then he's searched and they find the second gun anyway, so kind of weird.
Well, yeah.
And he's taken to the group's leader, who turns out to be Signy. Signy is pleased that Eli remembers him from all that time ago in the Tabana encounter, but asks that Eli refer to him from now on as his codename, Night Swan. Signy seems to think that it's Thrawn over Batoon getting beaten.
Moriarty.
And is happy as Thrawn's competence is seen as the last barrier between him and his plans to watch the Empire fall. Eli plays along, telling Night Swan that his failure may not be enough to stop Thrawn, and Night Swan remembers a story he heard a while ago about a blue alien from the unknown regions helping a Jedi during the Clone Wars. Night Swan hears from his people that the slip knot is empty, besides from a reactor leak, and he kind of looks at Eli and goes, "Really?" And Eli's like, "Look, I didn't know who my audience would be. Yep, I've stolen your trick. Sorry." So
Oh,
Night Swan orders, the reactor room opens, and Eli's there thinking, "Oh god, they're gonna find Thrawn." They open the reactor door, which causes an explosion to go off. Eli sees this as the sign and presses a button on the lieutenant badge, which makes the second gun, the one he had hidden, explode into a cloud of smoke, which Eli uses as a way to escape. He runs to the hangar where Thrawn is waiting, who is hiding in the escape pod to the Slipknot. They hijack a ship and they fly away.
hell yeah.
As they fly to regroup with Pharaoh, Eli asks Thrawn if he knew it would be Night Swan, and he replies that he suspected it but didn't know.
That's a
Back on the
first.
Chimera, over the comms, all the admirals report their victories, besides Drill, who promises his next attack will succeed. When Thrawn names his success, one of the others brings up that he wasn't actually present, but he assures him that the victory was done through his orders.
Give Eli his credit.
Fleet Admiral Donatus asks Thrawn how long it would take him to get all the data he needs on Scrum Island to launch a successful attack, and Thrawn tells him he already has it, so the Chimera is sent to take it. During this conflict, Pharaoh mentions to Eli how nice it is to have a commander like Thrawn, and she compliments Eli for understanding his plans, which confuses him. Doesn't everyone? Pharaoh assures him that you need to be special to think like that. Eli starts to wonder if Thrawn's been grooming him for command this whole time. After battle, Pharaoh congratulates Thrawn on the win, but he tells her it's one battle out of many to free Bastoon. Yularen and Price come to the Chimera to talk about the situation, because Price's parents work at the Creek Path Mining and Refinery Complex, which is where the insurgents have made their base. And she intends to go in and extract them, using this as an opportunity to get information on the insurgents' defences. Thrawn thinks the mission is a mistake. Price could be recognised, and she has no idea what side of the conflict's her parents even on. But he reluctantly agrees, and she's sent down with ISB agent Godry. Outside the meeting, Yularen and Vanto talk, commenting that Thrawn's setup is a weird choice. He has 3 light cruisers, which are damaged from the attack on Scrum Island, but they're outside the range of the Chimera, so if they were attacked, they'd just be defenseless.
Huh.
They kind of think that Thrawn may be using them as a distraction, but they think it's a risky play. And Yularen is worried that Night Swan has gotten to Thrawn, and warns Eli to keep an eye on him. Yularen then goes off, saying that he won't be returning to the Chimera because he has his own mission to do.
Goodbye, friend.
On the surface, Godry wants to head straight to the complex as its day, but Arinda, in a blonde wig and colour-correcting contacts, manages to stall him, pointing out it would be easier to get into the mine if they have a high-level mining employee with them, and the complex won't get dark because of all the lighting rigs. They meet with her parents, and her dad shows anti-Imperial sentiments, but Arinda just wipes it away as, he doesn't like the planet's Imperials, but he's fine with them, and she can petition the Empire to try and make the planet better.
Yeah.
Arinda and Godry claim to be on Bastoon to get away with a friend, and Arinda's dad agrees to get them into the mine. On the Chimera, Thrawn is looking at Batooni art, and he realises that the Night Swan made a mistake. The battle on Scrum Island was meant to be a diversion. The Empire were meant to win it and think that they'd defeated the insurgents on Batoon and leave. But because Thrawn's still here, the Night Swan has already lost.
Uh-oh.
He then, using a frequency he got from the shuttle they captured all those years ago, when he was first captured by Night Swan, he calls up his enemy and arranges to meet. Night Swan asks Thrawn how he'll know he won't be killed, and Thrawn tells him that he has more value alive than he would have if he was captured or dead. Night Swan then asks Thrawn how he knows that he won't be killed, and Thrawn replies that the next commander would not be as nice as Thrawn is,
Fair point, actually.
and would just try and level the whole city.
Thrawn. The thing is that Thrawn is Thrawn is a bastard, but Thrawn is capable of being nice to people, I think.
On the planet, Arinda considers taking down the shield, She drops Night Swan's name to see how her dad reacts, but he seems ignorant. She then gets out of sight of Gudry and calms her dad pretending to be her mum and saying she's sick. Her dad then goes, Arinda, we need to get back home, while Gudry continues into the facility. Arinda gives him an hour, and they leave through a different entrance to lessen questions. On the planet, Thrawn and Night Swan meet. And Night Swan asks if Thrawn wants him and his followers to surrender, to which Thrawn replies no. Thrawn makes note of how Night Swan originally saw himself as a consultant, but now he has followers, which suggests he has a higher opinion of himself, seeing himself as a leader. Night Swan and Thrawn then talk about the secret Imperial project they've both been following. But despite Thrawn wanting to compare notes, Night Swan doesn't want to talk with the enemy.
Aw, come on, bro.
Thrawn tells Night Swan that he came to the Empire to find someone to help him attack a bigger threat. He explored the edge of the galaxy during the Clone Wars, where he met Anakin, and hearing about the end of the conflict, the Chiss needed to find out if the Empire was ally or prey. He was left on a planet for weeks, but it was made to look like years. He was expecting to compare military notes with Palpatine, but instead got a command of his own. Night Swan warns that Thrawn's uniform is blinding him, but Thrawn says the corruption in the government is just normal to governments. That's how they work.
And it's not even, like, white and sparkly yet.
Thrawn explains that when Palpatine gets replaced down the line, if he gets a high enough command, he could have a choice in picking a new, better leader.
Palpatine getting replaced.
Night Swan then tells Thrawn that now is a point where he offers him a place in the Empire, but instead, Thrawn offers Night Swan a position in the Chiss Ascendancy. If Night Swan agrees, Thrawn will let the insurgents go free as Imperial resources. Night Swan agrees they see the same future, but says they have different paths, and turns down Thrawn's offer. Thrawn tries again, offering to tell Night Swan about the secret project, and he tells Night Swan that if this project turns out to be a threat against the Chiss, he could change his path. But Night Swan still puts his people first. He makes sure that Thrawn will minimise casualties, and Thrawn agrees, and they part ways. As he walks away, Thrawn tells Signy that he read about the Night Swan, and learned how it only sings when night falls. And in his head he thinks that this means that Signy never thought he could win this fight. Once Night Swan is out of view, Thrawn thanks the other person at the meeting for not shooting the insurgent, and Moff Yularen walks out, asking why he shouldn't shoot Thrawn as a traitor. Yularen lied about other business so he could keep an eye on Price, but when Vanto told him Thrawn had left the ship, he came down to see what was up, and Thrawn tells him that he offered Night Swan a place among his people, but it was denied. Yularen then brings up worries about the light cruisers being unprotected, and Thrawn assures him that if an attack did come, the light cruisers have working hyperdrivers that could jump away. They're just spread out so that if someone did come to try and steal them, they wouldn't all be next to each other. Yularen kind of thinks, this is still a bit sus, but these are good arguments. And he tells Thrawn that Gudry has set mines on both the weapons cache and the shield generator, and can pull the trigger at any time. They're just waiting on Governor Price and him to get out of the blast radius. Back at home, Arinda tells her parents to pack as they need to go, but her parents spend so long packing, they're trying to get all their memories, all the pictures of Price as a kid, that Gudry catches up. Annoyed that Arinda lied about her mother being ill, he tells Arinda they need to leave now and she can't take her parents. So Arinda jumps him, grabbing his blaster, and she just turns on him and shoots, feeling nothing about the kill. On the Chimera, Illa is still suspicious about Thrawn. They haven't heard from Gundry, so they have to think the ground mission could have failed. So Thrawn sends some people to investigate Price's parents' house to try and find them. Thrawn tells Pharaoh to prepare for battle, expecting ships at any moment. And right away, 33 ships arrive from hyperspace. Thrawn also orders the ground force to move in. On the ground, Arinda hears the gunfire and knows people are coming to find her. She knows if they find Gudry's body, it will be hard to explain. But she manages to get to the Imperial troops and get herself and her parents into a transport. Once outside the shield, Arinda does what she can to stop Gudry's death being reported, and detonates the bombs and the explosives without lowering the shield first. Because of this, the massive explosion is contained in the shield and just vaporizes everything inside.
Whoa.
Her mother asks how the Empire could do something like that, but Arinda tells her parents they should blame the insurgents and sends them to a shuttle for follow full. In space, the ships fly in using the light cruisers as cover from Star Destroyers. When they fly past them, not targeting them, going straight for Chimera, just as Thrawn expected. From inside the perimeter, Thrawn launches a squadron of TIEs from each of the cruisers, alone from Admiral Jorah after his embarrassing defeat, trying to get some good graces back. With the ships trapped inside, it's like a barrel of fish.
Barrel of fish.
Yara meets Governor Price, but she knows that he can't work out what she did. She has the power now, and no one can stop her. On the Chimera, Yularen reports to both Price and Thrawn that inside the shield, civilian deaths outnumber the insurgents. But Price argues that it's hard to tell which is which, really.
Okay.
Yularen then says to Thrawn that Night Swan's death was confirmed. Pharaoh tells Thrawn the Empress requested his presence, and not wanting to keep the Emperor waiting, Yularen promises to end the pursuing crisis. Before they go, Thrawn talks to Price in private. He goes to raise accusations against her, but she stops him, reminding him that he needs a friend in government. She tells Thrawn that he may be given the 7th Fleet, and that she'll need some help with some rebels in Low Fall going forward. She also tells Thrawn that the Emperor will probably make him a Grand Admiral, but reminds him where he stands before leaving. The Emperor gives Thrawn a nice new white uniform.
Ooh.
Thrawn thanks him, but before accepting it, he asks about the Death Star, which he's found out about. This causes Palpatine to frown, but he promises the Death Star will only be used against rebels, and is not a threat to the Ascendancy. Palp also points out that Thrawn's been mapping hyperlanes in the unknown regions, but has seemingly left off any that lead to Chiss worlds. And that's fine with him. He understands that his loyalties are conflicted, but right now, he points out that Thrawn is working for the Empire.
Palpatine's being really understanding right now.
Thrawn takes the plaque, but tells the Emperor that he still thinks a flexible military is better than one big station. And at that moment, a door opens at the back of the room, and a dark figure moves in.
No, it's that boy.
The Emperor introduces Thrawn and Vader, saying he doesn't think they've met. They greet each other, smelling like a sequel.
Oh.
In a ship, Eli Vanto finishes reading Thrawn's gift, a journal. He thinks about how they got along. Thrawn read art, and Eli read numbers, and that complemented each other very well. Eli arrives at his destination, seeing an unknown ship. Over the comm, a blue-skinned female introduces herself as Admiral Orlani, and asks Eli if he is he.
Are you he?
Eli confirms, and says that Mithron Yorodo thinks he can be of some help to the Chiss. And that is the end of 2017's Thrawn by Timothy Zahn. But if you go to your pack and you look at image 10...
Let's have a look. Oh yeah.
How phallic would you describe the Chiss ship?
I mean, it's super phallic actually. That looks like it looks like something that you would buy cast in silicone, you know?
I don't know if you want to look at some of the other covers while we're here.
Yeah, sure, why not? Let's do it.
If you want to go to Image 0 and work through.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so this is the book cover.
Yep. Of
Spooky
a
boy.
sexy photogenic blue man in his Grand Admiral outfit.
And his wonderful pink eye. Great. I'm gonna look at number 1. Oh, this is like Wild Man Thrawn.
That's a sexy jungle savage Thrawn.
He should keep his hair long. It really suits him. God, first Kanan Jarrus and now this. Everyone in Star Wars should just grow their hair out, honestly. Number 2.
Issue 2 has the cover of Thrawn, and that's the blood crow in the background.
Ah, yeah. It's a young and smug Thrawn. Number 3. Oh, that's a nice one.
That is Price in the foreground,
Yeah,
And a lot big fan casting for Price is Kate Blanchett, if she's ever
I
in live
can
action.
see. Yeah, I can see it. Price is cool, actually. I liked Price a lot.
God, I love Price.
Tarkin's on number 4.
Issue 4 is Tarkin,
I
Thrawn,
know him.
and what's that in the background?
Oh my goodness. Is that perhaps some kind of moon?
That's no moon.
Oh god. I regret everything, actually.
So the issue 5
That's
cover
cool.
is that's Eli and
Yeah.
Night Swan underneath Thrawn,
Oh
which I think
dang,
is where
nice
Eli
one's
would
kind
like
of
to be.
yeah, that's like a sandwich that he wants to be in. Nice one's kind of, he's kind of a little bit hot, maybe just a little bit,
And
just a little bit.
the last issue
Ah, yes,
has
that's a spoiler,
has
surely.
has our boy.
Or did he
You
come
gotta
in
get
on? Oh, sorry.
you gotta get Vader in every cover you can.
In every last issue of a short run comic series in Star Wars, there has to be a Vader at the end.
I mean, another thing, you
He's
need
got
to
to be on
put
the
Vader on a
cover.
cover because that sells more.
That's fair, actually. It does.
Come
Ooh,
a couple of interior panels. There's
yeah.
one of Governor Price talking about the low-fall insurgents, who
Oh, those
you
are
may
some familiar
recognise.
people. Yeah, I do believe I recognise them.
So this book came out just before season 3 Rebels, and at Star Wars Celebration that year,
Ah,
it was announced that Thrawn would be appearing in Rebels, and also this book would be coming out as like a prelude.
cool. That's pretty cool.
So, like Admiral Constantine appears in Rebels, Minister Tua appears in Rebels, Tarkin has been in Rebels at this point. Price has been mentioned, but we haven't seen her at this point, I
Everyone's been in
believe, or
Rebels
she
at this
comes in
point.
the end of season 2.
Ah,
Like, they do a good job at like mentioning Price in like episode 3, but then not bringing her in until really late.
I see.
And then the next one is just some good palping.
Yeah, this is some good palping, and then that boy coming in, and these two guys, like obviously both knowing that they've met each other because they're both in their mind palaces 24/7. Um, I love the detail of like the reflection. You can see like Thrawn with his red eyes in
Mm-hmm.
Vader's helmet. That's really cool.
Honestly, but like
That's a really nice little detail.
the top of this page where it's like Palp
Mm.
handing the plaque over, I want that framed. Just the gross close up of his teeth. Yes,
Yeah, oh the
please.
gross close up of his
Ah,
like
Lord
really
Vader,
you
come
think
join us.
Palpatine, do you think that he would have been able to afford some good dentists for a while now? Like, even before he was the Emperor? Like, surely.
So, Emily, what did you think of this story?
That's one of my favourites so far, honestly.
It's a long one.
It's got a lot going for it.
A lot happens, but also you want to be. It happens, and then there's like 3 pages of Thrawn explaining why it happened, why it did,
Yeah,
and
I can imagine
you
that's what
want to
it's like.
include enough to make Thrawn seem like Sherlock, but also you want
Because
to have a good pace.
this is why every episode of BBC Sherlock is like 3 hours long. It's because
Yep.
they have to do the thing, and then BBC Sherlock has to explain exactly how the thing was done. It is one of my favorite things that we've done so far. I thought it was really really good. Um, I really enjoyed Thrawn and Eli's little dynamic. I'm like, my guy, come on, they need to have a little smooch. I think they're very very good. Price was great. I really liked her. I felt like Night Sworn. Okay, he gets a couple of points because I've seen that he's hot now. But I didn't. I
Mm-hmm.
was like, nah, because the thing is though, is that we've had some very strong villainous characters, and I know that we're going at this from like an Empire standpoint, but like
Yep.
I still consider the antagonist to be the villain character, in the
Mm-hmm.
piece, and he wasn't
He is
exactly a
the
good
closest we have
guy.
to a villain.
Yeah, yeah, because we're meant to be like we're meant to be on Thrawn's side in this book.
It's either him or Price.
Yeah, that's the thing. I saw Price more as like a Price was more of like just a side character, if you know what I mean. She wasn't
Mm-hmm.
like the antagonist.
She's a co-lead of anything.
Yeah, she's just there to be cool and be smart and kind of tease at um some greater mind games with Thrawn and such, you know?
The way I always describe this is like Thrawn's here playing with ships. Meanwhile, Price is playing the fucking Game of Thrones.
Yeah, that's fair enough. That's very, very fair. She honestly, this poor girl couldn't get a flat at the start, and now she's got like a fuck ton of ships. So we love that for her. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, she was much better as like I like the way that it is actually. So Nightsworn being like kind of like a less noteworthy sort. He's not a bad antagonist, but like I'm gonna say he's no Count Vidian, is he? He's not really.
No,
He's
because like for most of this book, he is just a name on spreadsheets.
yeah, basically. Although Eli probably loves that because Eli loves a spreadsheet.
I meet him 3 times, and
Mm,
2 of them are in the last 6 of this book,
yeah.
and in the second one you find out he's actually Night's one.
So basically, Price is kind of like the one lurking in the background. It's like the character that's lurking in the background that you know is going to be like you know that this is the villain, but they don't do anything in this.
Thrawn and Eli are all making their way up in different ways, and like kind
Yeah.
of interacting with each other's stories, each playing into each other.
Mm,
But in the end, when Price detonates that explosive, she goes into the Empire's atrocities, whereas
yeah.
Eli's looking for the good in the Empire,
Yeah.
and Thrawn is kind of just playing with. Everyone says he's bad at politics, but he's there with
Mm.
ulterior motives. He's trying to play for the chess.
There's like she's the difference is like a level of ruthlessness, and like people can
Mm-hmm.
I feel like people could probably look at the things that Thrawn does. Thrawn does things very like matter of factly. Thrawn is very much like
Yep.
this is the most logical outcome. And it's not like a trolley problem kind of situation. It's not like that. He doesn't think like that, where he's just like, oh, if we kill these two people, then the other ones will be fine. It's kind of not that. It's more like he doesn't really care about money and such,
Mm-hmm.
And he will
Yep.
do the radical thing because he knows it will get the job done. Whereas like Price will do anything,
You know our famous question: why does Boba Fett want to be a crime boss?
Why does Boba Fett want to be a crime boss?
I have a new question for you, which I will ask you after every Thrawn book.
Okay. What's the question?
Why does Thrawn want to be heir to the Empire?
Interesting. From what I've heard from this, I would say that it sounds like Thrawn knows some shit is going down. There's some shit going on outside of the galaxy, and I think Thrawn knows that, and Thrawn is trying to gather power to combat that threat. That's what I think Thrawn is trying to do. So he's trying to like play his way up the up the ranks in the Empire, and he would like to inherit the Empire because he thinks that it's the only thing here that can possibly help him stand a chance against whatever is out there.
Mm-hmm.
That's what my take on it is. Sounds
Okay.
like.
Well, we will return to that at some point.
Okay. Ooh.
Have you got anything else you would like to mention?
Uh Aside from the fact that like Thrawn my guy, don't why are you sending Eli away? You guys are a team. You're like a nice little team now.
I also love that Eli was his second choice.
Ah, yes. He's so romantic. Oh, Thrawn. They didn't really explain much. I'm assuming that some of the other stuff goes more into like Thrawn's art thing because I know that Thrawn's art thing. Um, I was expecting him to have like a conversation with Eli in this and just be like, "Oh, I'm looking at all of these artworks specifically because I think that I can see a lot in it."
They don't really go into that much here.
Mm.
It's the beginning one in the Commandant Dean Lark's office where he's like, this piece is valuable.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
more about the value of it than the art itself.
yeah. That's not
Then
looking into the art. Yeah,
there are more moments of him looking at art, but he
he
doesn't really
does.
explain why X equals Y.
Yeah, they
But
don't
there
really
is more of
explain
that
why
in other
he's looking
books.
at it. Do the other books, just as a question, so the other books, do they take place before or after this?
Um, so this is the first in a trilogy, which is
Yeah.
set around Rebels timeline.
Okay.
So the next one is called Thrawn Alliances, and
Mhm.
that takes place just after season 3 Rebels. So this is before season 3.
Yeah.
Then there is another one called Thrawn Treason, which takes place halfway through season 4 of Rebels.
Ah.
Then there is a second trilogy called the Ascendancy Trilogy, which is, as you may get from the name, young Thrawn in the Ascendancy.
Yeah, because I was interested in asking that. I was interested to ask if there was any media which dealt with Thrawn actually in like Chiss society, in like
My understanding is
dealing with
it's
all
not
of
something that
that.
was touched upon in Legends, but in
Mm.
canon, yep, there is a whole trilogy of books about the Ascendancy.
Ah, it's interesting because I think obviously I don't know anything about it. I think it sounds interesting from like the shadowy bits,
Mm-hmm.
the bits. They sound like
Yep.
an interesting bunch.
You have they don't do preemptive strikes. You have there's something about ruling
Mm,
families, and that's about it.
yeah.
I'd also like to just mention the differences between the comic and the book.
Mhm.
So the book has a lot of words, but the comic has pictures.
I
Um,
wasn't expecting that.
no, so the comic has some great art, but because it's a comic, there's a lot less internal dialogue, which for a character like
Yeah.
Thrawn, I think is quite important because it is a lot of him
Difficult,
like
yeah.
thinking about deductions or like Eli thinking about what he's doing. The art is great.
It
In
looks
the, in
like
the
it's good.
comic, in the comic, there's no price for a while. Like issue 3 is the price issue. It's a 6 issue comic run.
Oh, interesting.
Issue 3 is the price issue. So like the first issue is up to Thrawn leaving the academy. The second issue is them on the Blood Crow tracking down the pirates. The
Okay.
third issue is Price from being on Lothal all the way up to meeting Tarkin.
Oh, wow. It's a lot to cover.
Issue 4 is them like dealing with the spice,
Oh,
and
okay.
issue
All right.
5 is the Scram Island stuff.
Yeah.
Eli being captured. Then issue 6 is the whole endgame. So the stuff for
The
Wookiees,
Avengers
which I kind of
Endgame.
blew past, that's like a chapter in the book. In the
Mhm.
comic, that doesn't appear. There's quite a few conversations which are short in the book.
Yeah.
Things like the theme of Eli's parents doesn't appear. The whole opening of Thrawn being stranded before he gets on the ship, that's like 2 pages.
And that's a shame because as we've
So it's very
seen
cut
by the
down.
cover, Thrawn has his sexy like wild man hair.
Before we go, we had some big Star Wars news this week.
Oh ho ho.
At the Xbox Game Showcase this year,
Mhm.
we got a cinematic trailer for a new Star Wars game.
Tell me about it, Sam.
And then, the following day, at the Ubisoft Forward Showcase, we saw 10 minutes of gameplay footage for said new Star Wars game.
Whoa! Oh, I can't believe it.
This is a point where, me being me, I have to mention Ubisoft has a 25% rate of people seeing or experiencing sexual harassment in their workplaces,
Yeah.
and so far, this was reported in 2021 at the latest, 2019 earliest, and in the time since then, Ubisoft have made minimal changes to address this. So,
It's,
be better, Ubisoft.
uh, it's a big yikes, honestly. It's a huge yikes. I don't know anything about the Star Wars game. It might be good. It might be fun. It's unfortunate it has to be made in this environment.
Okay, let's see if we can sell you on this game.
Okay.
Star Wars Outlaws.
Ooh.
It's a third-person, single-player adventure game being advertised as Star Wars' first open-world game.
Oh.
You play as Outlaw Kavis, who is joined by her companion Nyx, which is this cute little animal, of course.
Of course. Has to be a cute little droid or animal.
And they're joined by a sexy assassin droid wearing a trench coat.
Wait, what? Wait, what? Yo. There's a sexy droid in a trench coat?
I've sent you a link on Discord. Oh, it just popped up.
It did. Whoa. Hang on. That is a sexy droid. What the fuck? Oh, that's a sexy droid. Well, the thing is that this poster is giving me big Mass Effect vibes, so bodes
Hmm.
well for the sexy droid. We will see. Watch the space.
It's being developed by Ubisoft Massive, who most recently developed The Division,
Okay,
The Division 2,
okay.
and Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora.
Hmm. I know that Faye played The Division. I can't remember how they felt about it, but I can't say that I've played any of these games personally.
So it's set in the gap between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, which is
Hmm.
currently being really touched on in the comics. And as the name suggests, you play as an outlaw. Risk it all as Kay Vess, a scoundrel seeking freedom and the means to start a new life. Fight, steal, and outwit your way through the galaxy's crime syndicates as you join the galaxy's most wanted.
Ooh.
There's different factions, and you have different rankings of each factions, and missions seem to be able to be ended in ways you pick. It's like
Ah,
in the
okay.
gameplay demo, you do a heist, then after the heist, you meet up with your contact who is meeting an Imperial, and you have a choice to either bribe the Empire or refuse to bribe them, in which case they're now after you.
Okay. So it's like GTA 5, kind of like like the heists in GTA 5,
Yes.
except a bit more involved, perhaps.
Yep.
Kind of like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm into it as a concept.
Interesting about the setting is that, of course, I'm not sure what you know about this, but certain things happen in between episodes 5 and 6 in the underworld, which could make this a really interesting place if you enjoy the
Ooh,
comics.
okay. Well, hopefully they've got a lot of material to draw from that they are looking at right now while they're making
Mm-hmm.
it.
There's a certain event which happens which kind of sets the underworld aflame and gets them all fighting each other. And I really hope
Ah,
this plays into that a bit, because it would be super fun if it did. But also, I
yeah.
don't know if I trust it to.
It'd be cool if it happened like halfway through or something. If there was like a point and you hit it in like the story missions and then the thing happens and then kind of like the landscape changes. That would be pretty sick.
Star Wars, it is a Star Wars.
We are in
Star
Star
Warsy
Wars.
Star Wars. Star Wars is.
New podcast intro.
Okay, so planets in this game. Seems like Tatooine will be in it, of course.
Hmm.
There's like you'll be able to go to from a trailer. We know you can go to planet Akiva, which is mentioned in the Aftermath book.
Okay.
There's also some reason to being confirmed, but Kajimi is in the trailer. Like, I'm just saying that. There's a shot of it which is exactly the same as the shot from the Rise of Skywalker trailer.
Well, I mean,
Like,
fair enough. Considering, what Kajimi's like, that yeah, it fits in.
all
So
those Spice Runners.
yeah, of which Poe Dameron is one. Let's not forget.
There is a planet which looks a lot like Canto Bight,
Okay, I would be up for that. That would be sick.
and there's a planet in the gameplay trailer which I can't remember the name of because I'm prepared for this. Uh, but also, planets will apparently fit into two types. There'll be
Okay.
planets. There'll be planets that are like big open world hubs.
Hmm.
So you'll land in like a small little outpost, and there'll be a cantina where you can get quests, and then you go out into the wilderness on your speeder bike, and it's these big open worlds.
Nice.
And there are planets which you land in, and they're more built up cities, so it's less
Mm,
big,
mm,
but there'll still be a lot to do.
yeah.
Also, in the gameplay trailer, we see Nyx on the speeder bike go into a cantina, leave the cantina, go into her ship, take off, and there is space gameplay. There are things to do in space. Go all the way
Ooh.
into hyperspace without a cut.
Ooh. Ooh, that is good actually.
It looks very ambitious, but if I'm being honest about the gameplay
Yeah.
trailer, it looked like one of those games which does a lot, but
Mm.
doesn't do it with much depth. Like the space gameplay looked really dry to me.
That's Ubisoft in a nutshell to
The
me.
speeder bike chase looked kind of dry. Um, the shooting looked kind of dry, and I honestly feel
Mm.
like if this wasn't a Star Wars game, I would instantly pass.
Jack of
But
all
sadly, it
trades,
is a
master
Star
of
Wars
none.
game, so I'm in. I'll be buying it pre-owned day 2.
Yeah, I'll definitely keep an eye on it when it comes out. I'll have a look at I'll have a look into it, and I guess come to my own decisions. Yeah, it'll probably
Hmm.
be it's not an essential for me as well. I think I'd agree. I'll probably buy secondhand.
We have just had Jedi Survivor though, which is my favorite Star Wars game. So
It's fair.
I'm not gonna be like, if you like this game, you're trash. Because I have my Star Wars game, you can have your Star Wars game.
And there's room for everyone's Star Wars games. I hope it's a good game.
Okay, with that said, I think it's time to bring this to an end.
Okay.
You can follow us on social medias at Crashing the Starfighter on Instagram and TikTok, or you can email us at crashingthestarfighter@gmail.com. Before we leave, I have a question for you, Emily.
Let's go.
It's kind of a slow balls day. What model of ship is from Millennium Falcon?
Ooh, okay. I think I remember this. We'll see if I can remember it when we pick this up next time.
I've been Sam.
I've been Emily.
See you next time, guys. Bye.
Goodbye, friends.
Don't give them that privilege.
No, they're my friends. Hey.
They're our listeners. They do not deserve the rank of friendship. Except pronoun guy. Pronoun guy can stay.
Okay, yeah. Pronoun guy can say. Why do I feel like it would be like? Do you remember that old? Was it like an old Vine? I'm sorry for referencing a Vine, by the way. Was it the old?
It's okay, I'll
It was
forgive you.
like, oh, I'm like magical in bed, and it's like the dude is like naked with like a woman, and then he just pulls out a card and he's like, "Is this your card?" Why do I feel like that would be Thrawn? He's just like doing little tricks or something.
Is this your card, Ensign Vanto?
And Eli's just like,
Oh, gee, Thrawn, how'd you get bad?
Eli's like, we just had sex. Why were you hiding that? He's just a little
It
device.
was clenched between my tight buttocks, Eli.
I
Ensign
can't believe
Vanto.
that you didn't notice. It's just like a little like weird like doohickey device, and he presses a button on it, and then like somebody screams from like 2 doors away, and he's just like, ah yeah, I knew that they would be coming home at this time, and I have ruined their art collection.
Now all their art collection is covered in my chiss sauce. In my own special Rancor sauce recipe, Eli Vanto.
You will have noticed, Ensign, that when I came earlier, I did not spill any of my chiss seed into you. It's because I was saving it all up for this specific moment.
I keep it on my little Favia jar.
Oh no, this has gone to a place. Jesus
I call
Christ.
it my finest piece of art, Ensign Vanto.
Why does he have this? Like the thing is though is that like Thrawn like rarely ever, judging by what I'm hearing here, does not call this man by his name often. However, us doing an impression of him, it's like every sentence has to end with Ensign Vanto.
Would you prefer I called you babe?
Ah yes.